I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we're joined by an amazing author by the name of Sharon Graham, and she has penned a powerful book. It's called It May Not Have Been Easy, but It Was Absolutely Perfect, a mother's story of her son's passing. This poignant and heart-wrenching memoir explores the devastating loss of her son and the miraculous moments that followed. Today, we will discover how faith, love, and resilience turned a family's darkest hours into a testament of God's blessings. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank the team at Atticus Publishing for helping us put her in the spotlight today. And we ask viewers like you to support authors like her by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing her amazing book. The links are below this interview. Sharon, thank you so much for being our guest today.
You're very welcome. I'm very honored.
Your story is a powerful one. Losing a child is the worst thing that can happen to any parent, in my opinion. And I think in the opinions of lots of other people as well. Can you tell us a little bit about your son, Dalen, and how you lost him?
Sure. So Dalen was 22 years old. He had recently returned from a mission for our Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and had gone up to school for a block semester and loved volleyball, was majorly into volleyball, loved to play sports, loved to just be active outdoors, could care less really about school, but loved the social life and being involved with people. He was in a car accident that actually our youngest daughter was driving the vehicle, and she just started to fishtail and lost control, and it flipped head over heels. We were told that he was crushed on impact. He was 6'2", but he was able to live and survive long enough that they were able to, he was a donor. And so that was a huge process throughout this book, the details of the donor situation, and he lived long enough that he was able to be a good donor. So he was 4 months after he returned from his mission is when he passed away.
Amazing. He had a short life, but he had an impactful life. He touched the lives of many people. Some of his work you found out about afterwards, some you already knew about, of course. And after his passing, you actually experienced some significant miracles in your life. Tell us a little bit about that aspect of your story.
Well, it was almost instantaneously. So I got the phone call from Mariah about the accident, and within a few minutes, I'm trying to call my husband, who was in California at the time at Pomona Raceway. And it was a Friday afternoon, and he's on exhibition there with his race car. And so he had to get out of Pomona on a Friday and drive the hour and 45 minutes to our house and figure out how to get a flight and drive back into Burbank to go to the airport. The first miracle was his lieutenant, who took care of all of that for him and just said, get to the airport, I'll take care of it. And so he was able to make those transitions, which isn't an easy feat on a Friday afternoon in Los Angeles. And he even got to the airport and had 10 minutes to spare. And we were like, okay, this is not normal. So that was kind of where we started recognizing that there were miracles everywhere. Another really, really cool one was about 24 hours after Dalen passed away, I actually met the kidney recipient. And how that worked was he died in Idaho, but for some reason, his story, which I don't understand because lots of people have accidents, but his story was played on the news in Utah and Arizona. And a lady saw the newscast of our son's accident. So she immediately texted me and said, I need you to know the other side. And I was like, okay. And she goes, my son is currently in the hospital waiting for a kidney transplant. He's been on dialysis for 16 years. Sorry. And so it was just amazing. And we made that connection. And I knew that he got my son's kidney, and his last name is also Graham.
Amazing. Amazing. It is amazing the miracles that you do witness after a loved one's passing. you know, Dalen saving this young man's life was an important aspect of your son's life as well.
Of course.
And he lives now in that other young man, which is of comfort, of course, knowing that his life goes on. And you know his life goes on eternally as well because you're a person of faith. Tell me a little bit about how your faith played a role in navigating through this profound loss.
It was huge. It was huge. So we very strongly believe that God has a plan, and his plan is we are his spirit children. We come to earth to gain a body and experience all that it has. And then after life, we get to live again. And if we live worthily and righteously, we get to live with our families forever. And so when my husband and I are married, we're not just married till death do us part. We're married for time and all eternity. And so with that sealing, we know that whatever happens within our life, our family unit will continue on. And I will be with Dalen as well as my mom and brother and grandparents, and we will be able to continue on. And so the faith is huge in our family, and it sustained us abundantly to where I can say the death of my son was a perfect experience.
Amazing, amazing. It's great to have such a great gift of faith. I'm so happy that it sustained you during this tough time and you were actually able to see the positive aspects of it. Um, Tell us a little bit, share how your son influenced the lives of those around him in such a positive way as well.
Okay, there's a quick story that we heard of. So he was at BYU, Idaho, and one of his former missionary friends, they served in Texas together, big, huge Samoan guy. And he came up to us and he said, your son scared me to death. Now, he was probably 6'4", 200, 350 pounds. Like he was a big guy. My son was 6'2", but maybe 180 pounds. And I said, well, how can my son scare you to death? And he says, because I knew that when I passed your son, it wasn't just a, hey, hi, how are you kind of a deal and walk on. He would stop me and ask me how I was doing. And he was looking into my soul as if he could read me. And he said, it made me uncomfortable because maybe at that time I wasn't reading my scriptures like I should, or maybe I wasn't praying like I should. And Dalen would face me every single day and kind of put me in spot. And so we kind of thought that was funny. And he says, well, I even tried to go to my classes a different way so that I wouldn't have to see your son. And he goes, sure enough, he found out that I changed my route. And there's Dalen come walking up to me and he says, hey, dude, how are you today? And he goes, I'm good. And he goes, no, how are you today? And this young man just said, every day, if I was accountable to your son and I could do it in a good way, he altered my life. And so we just kind of started hearing stories of how he would hug somebody, or he took on a volleyball team that didn't have a coach because they were all kind of the leftover players. And he would spend hours teaching everybody how to play volleyball. And so we just heard that our goofy little boy touched a lot of lives, and he touched them individually. And it was really cool to hear.
Absolutely. What message do you hope readers take away from your story about dealing with grief and finding hope?
Um, that every grief is different, but there's a lot of similarities. And if people actually really look at the experience, it's heaven opening its doors to receive these persons. And there is peace and comfort. Sorry.
Yeah.
This is hard. This is
Yeah, I know. I know.
It's exciting.
It's very, very hard. It's hard. The loss of someone you love, even if you try to be as positive as possible, you miss him here with you now. I understand that. Even
It's really interesting though. I don't miss the presence of my son because I feel his spirit a lot.
mm,
I miss his voice. I want to hear his
yeah,
voice once in a while. Hey, mommy, how's it going? And we both spoke Spanish, and so we had a little connection that he'd always talk to me in Spanish and tell me that he loves me. So it's devastating that he's gone, but we're so engulfed with this peace and comfort and hope and love that it sustains us. And so the hard days are moments. It's not a week and a day and a year. It's maybe a few moments that I miss him. And then I get to go on and live my life and remember all the good about him and know that he's still my son and eternally we are bound.
Witnessed it many times. It seems like the peace of the Lord just enshrouds the family during such a tough time like this. As a news reporter, I've witnessed it many times. I go to talk to a family who's lost a loved one in an accident or a crime, and they're so kind, they're so peaceful, they're so subdued in a way because you can tell the grace of God is with them. And I'm sure the grace of God has been with you throughout all of this. And I know you've got another special angel up there as well in your son looking out after you. The name of this wonderful book is It May Not Have Been Easy, but It Was Absolutely Perfect. A mother's story of her son's passing. It is a poignant and heart-wrenching memoir that explores the devastating loss of her son and the miraculous moments that followed. And the miracles that have followed are what Sharon and her family have focused on and has sustained them. Sharon, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
Thank you. This is really, it is emotional, but it's just so exciting because there's a lot of good that can be done. And the Lord's needing my book out there to get that message out.
Absolutely. Anyone who's going through a hard time, whether it's a loss of a child, the loss of a parent, or any other type of grief, I think this book will bring you peace. It's a wonderful book. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.